525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes.
Hi there, my name is bearRimshot. Welcome to Casual Reviews with bearRimshot. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different than an actual review. Well, what is it, you guys may ask? Well, let's just say it's going to be an editorial. I mean, my first ever editorial. And in case if you're all wondering why I would ever consider doing an editorial for this episode, well, that's because I've seen other reviewers doing it as well, including the Nostalgia Critic, Joey Tedesco from Cartoon Palooza, Animat from Animation Look Back and Animat's Reviews, and just recently, Sonic Guru. Now, before I go into detail on what I'll be talking about for this episode, let me just say this. For those who are not satisfied with neither Epic Battles, nor Epic Battles 2, nor Epic Battles 3, nor Epic Battles 4, I can definitely promise you all for a fact that you're all going to be satisfied with this episode, as well as with more Epic Battles sequels coming, beginning with Epic Battles 5, as well as me redoing my bar mitzvah the way of how I always wanted to be. Now, there will be some moments here and there which may sound either purely coincidental or purely ironic, whether it be old or new. Now, for any reason, if any dissatisfaction dare come up to me, I am not doing something like this again. And please don't ask me nor daunt you to do any name changing for projects like Epic Battles. It's not happening ever. Now, since I got my speech out of the way, it's time for me to explain to you guys on what is a public apology. Now, have you guys ever either watched a TV show, or watched a movie, or played a video game, or read a book that's trying to redeem on what the creator did wrong? Well, this is what we're all going to be talking about today, is public apologies. Now, the first good example of a public apology is Horton Hears a Who, in which in this case it's a public apology to the Japanese people for drawing a propaganda cartoon during World War II. In 1918, World War I ended with Germany losing, and thus leading Adolf Hitler to blame us Jews for winning World War I. And thus, in 1939, World War II began with the Nazis invading Poland. In 1940, Dr. Seuss wrote Horton Hatches the Egg. In 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. In 1942, Warner Brothers did an animated short film adaptation of Horton Hatches the Egg from Merry Melodies. In 1945, World War II ended. In 1954, Dr. Seuss wrote Horton Hears a Who. In 1970, Chuck Jones released an animated TV special based on Horton Hears a Who, in which aired on CBS. In there, Horton the Elephant is voiced by Hans Conright. And you guys may know him more as the original voices of Captain Hook from Peter Pan and Snidely Whiplash from Dudley Do-Right. In 1996, Horton the Elephant got to appear in the Webless World of Dr. Seuss. In there, Horton is voiced by John Kennedy, not to be confused with John F. Kennedy. In 1998, Creative Wonders released a computer game called Dr. Seuss Preschool, in which acts like a sequel to Horton Hears a Who, much like of how the Inside Out playset from Disney Infinity 3.0 is to for Inside Out, and also of how Disney's Peter Pan The Legend of Neverland is to for Return to Neverland. In there, he is voiced by Jeffrey Draper. In 2008, Blue Sky released a computer animated movie adaptation of Horton Hears a Who. And if you guys thought the anime references are pointless, then you guys obviously have no idea why the fridge is there in the first place, and you guys have no childhood to begin with. The reason why Blue Sky would ever do a scene in Horton Hears a Who that would rely on anime references is because, well, as you guys all just learned by now, Horton Hears a Who is a public apology to the Japanese people. Speaking of which, the computer animated movie adaptation of Horton Hears a Who is also another good example of a public apology. Only this time it's made as a public apology to those who are not satisfied with Bo Welch's The Cat in the Hat. Hear me out. In 2000, Ron Howard released a live-action movie based on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It was an incredible success, getting $345.1 million worldwide. However, it got mixed reviews from critics. Critics like the nostalgia critic Alex Dead, the Guardian, and the Great Gamer Boy fan all didn't enjoy it, whereas critics like Mr. Coat, Animat, Morgan Ledger, Jaime Tude, the Nostalgia Chick, the Blockbuster Buster, and I all do. In 2003, Bo Welch released a live-action movie adaptation of Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. It got a lot of negative reviews from both critics and fans of the original books alike. And because of the critical failure of The Cat in the Hat, this is what led Audrey Geisel to not just hate The Cat in the Hat, but also cancel every further live-action movie adaptation based on Seuss's works as well, including a live-action movie based on Green Eggs and Ham, and a live-action movie based on The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. In 2008, Blue Sky released a computer-animated movie adaptation based on Horton Hears a Who, and oh boy, it was a major success. And now, another good example of a public apology would be the new and upcoming CGI Cat in the Hat remake, which in this case it's going to be a public apology to those who are not satisfied with the live-action Cat in the Hat movie.
Son of a bitch!
Hear me out. On my birthday in 1957, Theodore Geisel, aka Dr. Seuss, released his most famous book, The Cat in the Hat. It was an incredible success. In 1960, Dr. Seuss wrote The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. In 1971, CBS aired an animated TV special based on The Cat in the Hat, which in this case it is done by D. Patty Freeling, and whom you guys may know them more as the creators of the Pink Panther. Anyways, in there, The Cat in the Hat is voiced by Alan Sherman. The Cat in the Hat marks as not only the first ever Dr. Seuss TV special to use the Cat in the Hat Productions logo, but also was the first ever Dr. Seuss TV special to be produced by D. Patty Freeling, as well as the first ever on-screen appearance of The Cat in the Hat. In 1973, The Cat in the Hat reappeared on screen in another animated TV special called Dr. Seuss on the Loose, in which in this case it was aired on CBS. In there, The Cat in the Hat was voiced by, once again, Alan Sherman. Not only does Dr. Seuss on the Loose mark as the second and last time that Alan Sherman would voice The Cat in the Hat, but also marked as the last project that Alan Sherman would ever work on until his death. Not only that, but also The Cat in the Hat appears to be the host, much like how Deems Taylor was for Fantasia. In 1982, The Grinch's The Cat in the Hat was aired on ABC. Only this time, The Cat in the Hat appears to be voiced by Mason Adams. The Grinch's The Cat in the Hat was produced by D. Patty Freeling and Marvel. And yes, people, I'm talking about the same Marvel that is also responsible for creating beloved superheroes like Spider-Man, X-Men, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Guardians of the Galaxy, Daredevil, Howard the Duck, and Big Hero 6. Anyways, this would be the last Dr. Seuss ABC TV special to ever be produced by Marvel Productions and Deep Mighty Freeling Productions. In 1984, TNT aired In Search of Dr. Seuss. In there, the Cat in the Hat was played by Matt Frewer, and the Cat in the Hat segment was hosted by Robin Williams, and you guys may have known him more as the genie from Aladdin. In 1995, Daisy and Maisie was released. In there, the Cat in the Hat is the narrator. This story was founded by R.J. Geisel after Dr. Seuss's death. Seuss had written it in the form of a script and then had tucked it away. The novelization was written and published by Random House. And he asked people, the same publisher who published the stories Dr. Seuss had written while he was alive. During that same year, an animated TV special based on Daisy and Maisie was aired on TNT. The animation was done by Hanna-Barbera. And he asked people, I'm talking about the same guys also responsible for Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Tom and Jerry, and many other childhood cartoons. Anyways, in there, the Cat in the Hat is voiced by Henry Gibson. Daisy and Maisie is the last animated TV special to ever be based on a Dr. Seuss book. During that same year, Animaniacs did a parody based on the Cat in the Hat called The Kid in the Lid. In 1996, the Jim Henson Company did a TV series called The Webless World of Dr. Seuss. Season 1 of The Webless World of Dr. Seuss, the Cat in the Hat is the narrator and is voiced by Bruce Lanoil. In later seasons, the Cat in the Hat is voiced by Martin P. Robinson and is the main protagonist. During that same year, the Cat in the Hat made another special guest appearance on TV with Kids for Character. In 1997, Living Books did a computer game based on the Cat in the Hat. The Cat in the Hat can also be seen as an Easter egg in the two other Living Books Seuss games, consisting of Green Eggs and Ham and Dr. Seuss's ABC. During that same year, DreamWorks acquired the film rights to the Cat in the Hat. In 1999, Universal Studios released a theme park attraction based on the Cat in the Hat. During that same year, the Cat in the Hat also appeared in Creative Wonders computer games such as Dr. Seuss Toddler, Dr. Seuss Preschool, Dr. Seuss Kindergarten, and Dr. Seuss Reading Games. In all those games, he's voiced by Charles Martinet, and whom you guys may know him more as the voice of Mario. In 2000, the Cat in the Hat appeared on Broadway with Seussical the Musical. Like in Dr. Seuss on the Loose and Season 1 of The Webless World of Dr. Seuss, in Seussical, the Cat in the Hat is the narrator. In 2003, both Universal and DreamWorks released a live-action movie based on the Cat in the Hat. It got mainly negative reviews from both critics and fans of the original book, pointing out the adult jokes. In there, the Cat in the Hat is played by Mike Myers, and moviegoers watching this may know him more as Shrek and Austin Powers. Originally, there was supposed to be a live-action movie adaptation of The Cat That Comes Back. However, due to the critical failure of Bo Welsh's The Cat in the Hat, both and all further live-action adaptations of Seuss's works got cancelled. Anyways, during that same year, Universal released a video game based on The Cat in the Hat, in which it did come out on the PlayStation 2, the original Xbox, PC, and the Game Boy Advance. There was supposed to be a Nintendo GameCube version of The Cat in the Hat, but unfortunately it got cancelled. The Cat in the Hat was banned in Brazil. In 2004, New Kid Co. released another Cat in the Hat video game adaptation. Only this time, not only is it not based on the 2003 movie nor any other previous adaptations whatsoever, but also came out on the original PlayStation and the Game Boy Advance. New Kid Co. was supposed to do another Dr. Seuss video game called The Super Stupendous World of Dr. Seuss, in which it was supposed to come out on the Game Boy Advance. But then for some reason it got cancelled. In 2007, the Cat in the Hat appeared in Robot Chicken. In 2010, PBS Kids aired a TV series based on the Cat in the Hat. Knows a lot about that. In there, the Cat in the Hat is voiced by Martin Short. In 2011, the Cat in the Hat appeared in the epic Rap Battles of History episode, Dr. Seuss vs. William Shakespeare. In there, he is played by Nice Peter. In 2012, Illumination announced that they're going to remake the Cat in the Hat in CGI.
Just don't let me ever be played by Mike Myers.
Anyways, in 2013, the Cat in the Hat appeared in Mad TV with Life of Rhyme. During that same year, The Simpsons did a parody of both The Cat in the Hat and Oh, the Places You'll Go with Oh, the Places You'll Go in Treehouse of Horror 24. Now, another good example of a public apology would be the new and upcoming CGI How the Grinch Stole Christmas remake, which in this case, it's going to be a public apology to those who are not satisfied with the live-action Grinch movie. Me out. In 1957, Dr. Seuss wrote How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In 1966, Chuck Jones released an animated TV special based on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In there, the Grinch is voiced by Boris Karloff. Anyways, when How the Grinch Stole Christmas first aired on CBS, it got mixed reviews at first. However, after constantly re-airing on television during the Christmas season and getting a bunch of home video releases, this is where How the Grinch Stole Christmas would then get more and more positive reviews from critics, animation fans, and Dr. Seuss fans alike, and thus being proclaimed to be a classic. In 1977, Halloween is Grinch Night was aired on ABC. In there, the Grinch is voiced by Hans Conrad, and whom you guys may know him more as the original voices of Captain Hook from Peter Pan and Stanley Whiplash from Dudley Do-Right. Anyways, Hans Conrad was also Dr. Toad Willinger from the 5,000 Figures of Dr. T, Horton the Elephant and Horton Hears the Who, and voiced both Zaxxas from the Zax segment from Dr. Seuss on the Loose, as well as the narrator for both the Sneetches and Zax segments of Dr. Seuss on the Loose. Anyways, Halloween this Grinch Night would be the last Seuss project in which Hans Conrad would ever do until his death. The reason why Halloween this Grinch Night has been made in the first place is due to fan requests that Dr. Seuss himself did get to do more Grinch stories. Anyways, in 1982, the Grinch would reappear in another animated TV special called The Grinch's The Cat in the Hat. Originally, Hans Conrad was supposed to reprise his role as the Grinch, but sadly, Conrad passed away before a recording session. So instead, the Grinch would be voiced by Bob Hope, who was also the original voice of the Lorax. During the mid-90s, the Grinch would appear as a recurring villain in the webless world of Dr. Seuss. In there, the Grinch is voiced by Anthony Asbury. The Grinch can also be seen as an Easter egg in the Living Books game based on Dr. Seuss's ABC. In 1994, the Grinch would appear in Search of Dr. Seuss. In there, Boris Karloff reprises his role as the Grinch. In 2000, a live-action movie adaptation based on How the Grinch Stole Christmas was released. In there, the Grinch is played by Jim Carrey, who also played Ace Ventura, The Mask, Count Olaf from a series of unfortunate events, Ebenezer Scrooge from Robin Zemeckis' A Christmas Carol, and would also later on voice Horton the Elephant in Blue Sky's Horton Hears the Who. Ron Howard's The Grinch was a box office success, but got mixed reviews from the critics. During that same year, a video game adaptation of How the Grinch Stole Christmas just called The Grinch was released. The Grinch came out on the original PlayStation, the Sega Dreamcast, the PC, and the Game Boy Color. In 2007, another Grinch video game was released. Only this time, not only is it called How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but also came out only for the Nintendo DS. Ever since during the 90s, How the Grinch Stole Christmas did get satirized in The Simpsons, Tiny Toon Adventures, South Park, Family Guy, Robot Chicken, The Nostalgia Critic, The Angry Video Game Nerd, Lizzie McGuire, The Fairly Odd Parents, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and many more. In 2013, Illumination announced that they would remake it, How the Grinch Stole Christmas in CGI. In 2016, Illumination confirmed that the Grinch will be voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, and who you guys may know him more as Smaug from The Hobbit, Doctor Strange, and Sherlock Holmes. Now, another good example of a public apology would be The Cat in the Hat Knows a Lot About That, which in this case it's made as a public apology to Dr. Seuss for making the animation look not so faithful to the original books. Hear me out. Now, this is not to say all Dr. Seuss cartoons are terrible. In fact, the ones from the 20th century did play a bigger role in my childhood. It's just the fact that, well, when you guys do take a look at the Dr. Seuss cartoons released in the 20th century, you will see that they would all look like as if they were fan-made. Whereas when you do get to take a look at, like, let's just say, The Cat in the Hat Knows a Lot About That, you will see that the animation in there looks just like as if Dr. Seuss himself would have drawn it. And now, another good example of a public apology would be the long-awaited Star Wars sequel trilogy, which in this case it's made as a public apology to those who are not satisfied with the prequels. Hear me out.
How rude!
Quiet, Jar Jar! Anyways, imagine we go way back in 1977, right? Just saw Star Wars for the first time, right? And oh boy, did it change the rest of your life, but in a good and creative way. Anyways, when The Empire Strikes Back was released in 1980, this is the moment where more and more people would like Star Wars. When Return of the Jedi was released in 1983, this is where the whole merchandising thing of Star Wars kicks in with comics, novels, action figures, and my personal favorite part of the merchandising, video games. Anyways, when you do first hear the news that George Lucas would be making a Star Wars prequel trilogy, you would be like, but then, when Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace first came out in 1999, this is where Star Wars fans, Trekkies, and Whovians would all then given lots of hate towards the prequels. No boy did that lead to all of this.
Okay, hey, I know, we'll blame Jar Jar.
Jar Jar that's a terrible idea. He retired like 20 years ago.
Hey, it's not like we have a lot of options here.
Okay, here, let's do this. You go get a thermal detonator and we'll put it right back here on
No!
the back of...
How is that better than my Jar Jar idea?
Anyways, when episodes 2 and 3 both kicked in, this is where more and more people are getting satisfied. Just because as the Star Wars prequel trilogy did go on, Jar Jar Binks received way less screen time than how much he got in episode 1. And plus, we've got plenty of good Star Wars video games that feature the prequels. Not only that, but also we've got 2 animated Clone Wars TV shows that are good. Anyways, when you do first hear the news that a Star Wars sequel trilogy will be made after Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012, you'd be like,
Oh, great.
and then, after seeing the trailers for Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens, this is the moment where you should get excited about Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens. even if you're someone who would prefer the originals better. And once you do get to see Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens in theaters, this is the moment where things get satisfying for all Star Wars fans, whether they prefer the originals or the prequels better.